Hello, everybrony. It is All Night, it is Brony time, and welcome back to Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. I almost called it Chronicles. Anyway, I'm super excited to be back. When we last left off, we got our first murder request. Well, we had our first letter of request, our first request to defend a client in court. We also found the noodle stand, as it is part of the murder. And apparently the one who was murdered was Dr. Mercatus. I really have trouble pronouncing that. We also met Emma Sky, and we learned all about how to do the fingerprinting mechanics. So, I think it's about time we return to Turnabout Corner. And we must go to the detention center. It's our first time to the detention center in this game. I'm sorry, meeting hours for the day are all done. But we still have 3 minutes. Put in your request, but don't expect anything. The father's talking in the private room with him. The father? You mean like a priest? I mean the suspect's father, Mr. Winfred Bigwins Kotaki. Not someone I know. Die, you! You're the one on your way out, old... Ah, they're here. Damn! Whoa, this guy radiates power. Power with a cute apron? You Wokie's lawyer. Yes, sir. Well, I'm Bigwins Kotaki, fourth head of the Kotaki family. Capiche? Actually, I came to speak to your son. Mr. Justice. Yes? My son's innocent. He killed no one. If you were found guilty, it wouldn't be good. Capiche? Yes, I'm all about capiching. Capiche loud and clear. Gotta do more than just understand the making. You'll learn, though. Even if the lesson comes at the end of your short life. I don't feel so good. What's the big idea, old man? You can't treat me like a kid no more, not now. You know, I wanted to go to the clinic. I wanted to go to the clinic. I like it here. You must be Wokie. A G is not a G till he does a hard time, bizoy. You'll see, when I get out of here, things will change. Silence! My apologies, Mr. Justice. He's usually such a nice boy. You could tell they modeled this guy after Marlon Brando, Godfather. Holy crap. Forgive me if I have a hard time believing that. Ha! You can't take me under your wing this time, old man. You heard me. I don't need no trial. I did it. I think that's enough for today, Mr. Justice. Don't let me down tomorrow. So much for talking to our client. But we made so much progress today. We even found my panties. I had fun, at least. Of course, the biggest mystery of all remains. How am I supposed to build a case for the trial? Oh, almost forgot. It's time for my show. Tonight I'm performing at the Wonder Bar. You should come check it out. Yeah, maybe I could have pushed on a little forward in the last episode, but you know, I don't want to risk it anymore. The one time I did that, I went an hour and a half. And let me tell you, that was crazy. Yes, I would like to continue on to the next chapter. Huh, Mr. Wright's not here today. He said his old foot injury was acting up. golden tree? He was all smiles yesterday. Yes, he smiled when he said we'd be fine as long as you're there, Trucy. Yes, fine. We'll be fine. Here comes justice. I started my voice training at 5 this morning. Oh, do some now. I want to see, hear. Huh? Oh, okay. My name is Apollo Justice and I'm fine. Oh, wow. He literally just says that as a line. That sounds more like a self-mantra than voice training. I'm fine. I'm fine. You know what I'm saying. Good morning. Yo, sup? Hit me with the guilty verdict, G. See if I can. You just hang loose and let things go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? Not really. Wokie, don't be running your mouth like that in here. See, that's the difference between me and you, old man. I ain't afraid of no cops. Real G's can't keep it real till they spend some hard time in the pen. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Sounds like they've both been voice training too, Apollo. My worst fears realized. The trial's starting and I still haven't had a real talk with my client. Court is now in session for the trial of Wokie Kotaki. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready to rock and roll, Judge? I'm sorry, I can't do German. I'm sorry. Ready to rock and roll, Judge? It's him, the guy from yesterday. He's a prosecutor? It's Mr. Gavin's brother. Long time no see, Prosecutor Gavin. Where were you after so long absence? You know that little band I started up in my free time? Thing is, we got real popular. Hard to say 9 to your fans when 3 of your singles go platinum, Ja. I see. To be honest, I was a little concerned. I fear that you might still be distraught over that one trial. Not too very, Judge. I wouldn't miss this day in court for the world. They really love German. I wouldn't miss that day in court for the world. It's worth even more than VIP passes to one of my concerts, yeah? How could I pass up a chance to see true strength? A little boy who bested my brother. It was worth cancelling a show or two. Understood. You may give your opening statements to the court. Before that, I was thinking. Is the air in this courtroom not a bit serious? It is a court of law. That's no way to get the crowd jumping here, Judge. They're not supposed to jump. This is a courtroom. Achtung, baby. Today we play it my way. What's that noise? Sometimes you'll have to get up in order to get down to prosecuting. This is crazy. The victim, Paramaractus, director of the Maractus Clinic. The scene, People Park. He was found pulling a noodle stand. What in the world was the doctor doing pulling a noodle stand? Yes, I believe. You will only find that out by asking the defendant right here, right now. Because it's an undeniable truth that he shot the victim. What do you mean, undeniable? If you are to glare at anyone, Justice, glare at the punk in the defendant's chair. His crime was witnessed quite clearly, you see. Very well. Please admit this witness to the court. Oh boy. 9. Not yet. first there is a little matter to be cleaned up. Could you talk without the accompaniment? I swear I could see the guitar for a second. What is it, Prosecutor Gavin? The motive, Air Judge. Why did the little pug do it? Why did he kill the director of the Maractus Clinic?
Objection!
Not so fast. The defendant doesn't have to explain that. Oh, but what if the defendant specifically requests to do so, as he did this morning? I want to give a shout out to all my homies, I believe he said. What? What is right? They always say that on stage you should hit the crowd with speed and ferocity. Sounds like it got you good, huh, Polly? Well, this is highly unusual, but this court will now hear from the defendant concerning his motive in the crime. So, you son are the defendant. Wokie, are you? I'm your son, old man. You step to a Kotaki, you best be prepared to step strong. You step to a public official, you'd be best prepared to step into jail. You got to hand it to him. Wokie sure has guts. It's not his guts I'm worried about. Well then, the court will now hear the testimony on the defendant's motive. From the defendant himself. I'll tell you one thing, that doctor was a quacker. Someone had to show him what's what. I was in his clinic about half a year ago. He messed up my ops something bad. And then he just let me go without a word. See you later, bye. So I gotta go in, get another doc to patch me up again. That was the day I done figured it out. No OG's gonna let that pass. That's why I went to his pad that night. Know what I'm saying? You're saying you were one of the victim's patients? A lot of stuff goes down when you're keeping it real on the street, true dat. I'll tell you one thing, that doc was wet. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. Can't believe it's the first time I'm hearing about all of this. Okay, I'll tell you one thing, that doctor was a quacker, someone had to show him what's what. I was in his clinic about half a year ago, he messed up my ops something bad. How did he mess it up? So, you were a patient at the Maractus Clinic half a year ago. For what reason? I had what you might call a mark of honor. Can you explain precisely what was wrong? We had a little run-in with the Rivales family. That's when I pulled a jack move. And ran into an ambush. G busted a cap right in me. According to my sources, you couldn't stand the stress of waiting. And ran in 15 minutes before the appointed time, by yourself. Hey, I was more than a match for those guys. So you were carried to the Maractus Clinic from there. Apparently, he was shot in the heart. Shot in the heart and he's still alive? I could catch bullets between my teeth, but I never learned how to catch them with my heart. The bullet stopped just short of my thumper, you know what I'm saying? I would have been golden if it weren't for that whack doc. Can't even take out a stupid bullet. So, as you say, the surgery was a failure. That ain't all of it, Holmes. Okay, so he just lets me go. What do you mean he just let you go without a word? What do you think it means? It's wet, that's what. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds bad. It sounds as though a doctor wished to hide his mistake. That is why he let the defendant go. He's a liar, straight up. He's a badder G than me. Alrighty, let's keep going. We get new information. So this bullet is still... You know it, I can still feel it. Right there in my chest. Pressing up against my heart. Your words are like a bullet shot straight into my heart. or something to that effect. Incidentally, that's from one of our hit singles. That sounds like a straightforward case of malpractice. Word, J-Man. Word no accident, that's for shizzle. It seems that there were issues with this doctor. Man, putting him down was like doing the world a favor. Wokie, please consult your lawyer before saying things like that. Chin up, Apollo. Back straight. But why did this mistake only come to light that day? It was found during the family health checkup. The family checkup? That was the wackest thing of all. All us G's lining up, taking eye exams and all that. Ready to die young and fade away, bazoy! A relief to hear. What? What's a relief? Oh, did your father not tell you that? That bullet you carry so close to your heart, if not attended to immediately, it could kill you. What? Yes, Dr. Maractus had knowledge concerning this ticking time bomb in you. Knowledge that could have saved your life. No way, that's whacked. There is proof. Your checkup report? How ironic that you would kill the one man capable of helping you. You're almost as careless as he was. Well, now that the place is hopping, let's get this gig started. Started? We've had enough of a warm-up, Buckjaw. Time to hear from the witness. Wokie sure is quiet all of a sudden. A little uneasy myself. Is this Gavin's strategy? So, you will tell us your name and occupation. My name is Wesley Stickler. Wesley Stickler. By occupation, I take you private society at large as supports a livelihood under which definition I must confess to being unemployed. However, we must acknowledge the meaning of identity, which is commonly attached to the notion of occupation. And once we have accepted this reality, we see that our confusion is not gestalt, perceived, but derives from the vagueness inherent in our representation of thought. By which he means to say that he is a student. A junior at Ivy University, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, in the Department of Science and Engineering. Filled with curiosity for all things, I spend my days in pursuit of truth, honing my... Stickler, please direct said curiosity to the case at hand today. Very well, Mr. Stickler. Please testify to the court about what you saw on the night of the crime. You ask quite simplistically. Understand that Homo sapiens possess two eyes, each of which is designed to receive and interpret data, sending images into the form of... Okay, it wasn't gonna give us all to it again. Thank you for that game. That night I passed through the park on my way home from shopping when I saw them. One man pulling a stand, another man facing him. I saw them quite clearly. The man facing the victim was the defendant. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand. A shot. The bullet hit the man pulling the stand from the front, square in the forehead. Was there anyone else in the park at that time? I can say with 100% accuracy that there was not. The pistol our witness refers to is this. The court accepts this into evidence. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may cross-examine the witness. Yes, Your Honor. Trucy, why are you staring like that at the witness? That man. I can't help but feel I've seen him somewhere before. Oh, is he the panty thief? Is that where we're going with this? Was he the one who stole people's panties? Alright. I think the one thing that stands out to me is the last statement. A shot, a bullet that hit the man pulling the stand from the front, square in the forehead. Yeah, so let's go ahead and check out the autopsy report. Cause of death, single bullet to the right temple. Okay, yep.
Objection!
Phew, that's all of it. I think I have a chance. Is that you relaxing? I see, Air Justice. Uh-oh, objection! Once is quite enough, Excuse me, Mr. Justice. Paulo, pace yourself. This trial's not over yet. Right. Look at this. The autopsy report? Is there a problem with the autopsy report? Right, a problem. Problem. Yes! The problem is the location of the entry wound. The location? You testified that the killer shot the victim square in the forehead, did you not? I have already determined your angle of inquiry. Allow me to explain. It's quite simple, really. First, understand that when I say square, I speak not of general absolute. What do I mean by this? For example, the deflection of a meter is the wavelength of the light emitted by a krypton particle, as we all know. In addition, it is well-known fact that krypton particles are rare and invisible to the naked eye, which points to a basic fallacy in the light of reasoning, namely that what... Mr. Justice? Yes? What's your objection to these, krypton particle things? This is the big time, and you're obsessed with something so small. You disappoint me. No, I'm obsessed with something big. I mean, there's a bigger, less nitpicky problem here. Do tell. Just look at the autopsy report. The location of the entry was the right temple. The temple... Mr. Stickler, you said quite clearly the victim was shot square in the forehead. That's a contradiction, isn't it? It is, right? Finally.
Objection!
Air Justice, or Air Justice. Yes? Your tactics are outdated, trying to shake the witness by objecting to trifles. Surely you haven't forgotten the fatal wound your master suffered 7 years ago. Phoenix Wright, was it? Look, I know the wound was in the wrong place according to this testimony. Hey, forehead. Forehead? Let us imagine you are walking through the park. You see two men facing each other, one with a pistol trained on the other. What would you do, forehead? Well, I guess I would try to stop them. Probably shout stop. And you, Fraulein? Me? Well, I'd probably scream, eek! And you, Stickler, what did you shout, I wonder? Ah! The victim turned his head at the last moment. Ah, yes, thank you for jogging my memory. Sounds like an amendment to the testimony is required. As soon as the killer raised his pistol, I took action. Cease this at once, you two, I cried with composure. The victim turned in the direction of my voice, and his shot rang out, whereupon our cowardly killer, the defendant, appeared to have become frightened. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. I see, so you attempted to stop the crime. Indeed, with composure. Well, maybe the criminal wouldn't have fired if he hadn't shouted like that. But that doesn't really matter now, unfortunately. Let us consider this new testimony, shall we? Observe the diagram, if you would. The witness, Mr. Stickler, was it, stood here. He shouted, "Oh, stop, please," or something of this nature. And the victim responded by looking in the witness's direction. If the killer were to have fired at just that moment, as we can see, the bullet would have struck the right temple, as in the report. That does seem to be the case. Witness the power of a junior in Ivy University's Department of Science. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may now... you may cross-examine the witness. Excuse me. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. Alright, let's take a look at this pistol. Fingerprints were wiped. Okay, so there's no fingerprints. I think this is the best we got. Objection! Wait a second. Another misleading request. Yet you're so beholden to your own mode of discourse, you can't see how it affects you. Come again? Wait a second, you say. A second? Are we intended to wait just that, a single second, 1/60th of a minute? That's hardly enough time to draw a breath, let alone make a statement in court. Now, had you asked for a longer period of time, say 3 minutes 35 seconds, Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor. Am I to understand you're objecting to the length of a second? Yes, I mean, no, here, just look at the pistol. It doesn't have a single fingerprint on it. A common ploy made all the more common, I fear, by the prevalence of television. Criminals these days are loath to leave fingerprints. Wait, but you said the killer tossed the gun and ran. That's right. He didn't have time to wipe the gun for prints. Ah, the little girl sticking it to the university student. There's a song in there. I'm not little. Then let's think like adults, shall we, Fräulein? What if the killer, the defendant, was wearing gloves? Gotta admit, I didn't think of that, Apollo. Well, Mr. Justice, could the killer have been wearing gloves? No, no. The record of the murder weapon is very clear about one thing. The fingerprints were wiped, which means some trace of prints remain, which contradicts your testimony. If everything happened as you say it did, he wouldn't have had time to wipe the pistol. Excuse me? That may be, but it does not change what I saw. The killer, the defendant. Oh, sorry, wrong voice. He threw down the murderous weapon from his hand and fled. And this pistol was found at the scene of the crime, strongly suggesting that this was the weapon he disposed of. That sounds solid to me. Well, Air Forehead? Any of your precious objections? What gives, Apollo? Let's see what that voice training go to work. No, I've only recently realized something. No matter how much you train your voice, it doesn't matter if you have nothing to say. What do you mean, nothing to say? Is it obvious from what the witness just said? Huh? Is it what obvious? When he restated what he saw just now, he said he saw Wokie drop a murderous weapon. But that's not the same as being 100% sure of what Wokie threw away. You're right. He's just confused because a pistol was found at the scene. Poor Mr. Stickler. It must be hard to be so perfect and yet so wrong. Well, it can be said that I'm quite offended. Well, it is indeed true that once in my youth I wrote a love letter that was seized by the teacher and posted on the blackboard for all to see, and for this the appellation poem might well be prefixed to my name, yet is not that you're at. What we can say for certain is that the witness saw the killer throw something. Does the defense have anything to say about this? Well, if what he threw wasn't a pistol, then it had to be something else. At least one person on the defense team seems to be sinking. I'll wipe that smile off your pretty face, Gavin. Perhaps you can inform the court as to the nature of this something else. What did the killer throw away before fleeing the scene? Well, we know a knife was also found at the scene, and we know that has Wokie's prints on it. Is that a sword? I saw one of those on the late-night movie last night. Great, sleep-deprived judge. His knife was found at the scene of the crime, with the defendant's prints on it. His prints! This single piece of evidence proves two important things. One, that what the defendant threw down wasn't a pistol. Two, that the defendant wasn't wearing gloves. Indeed. Or a forehead? You're forgetting two other things you've just proven. Huh? One, that the man the witness saw was the defendant, Mr. Wokie Kotaki. Two, that the defendant was holding a knife with the intent of harming the victim. Oh. Indeed. Never underestimate a Gavin his lesson here. This court is of the opinion that a witness is fond of making assumptions. In that light, I believe it would behoove us to hear about what really occurred. With less assuming, please. It is always the same with you people. Mark left the house on foot, and 5 minutes later his brother left after him. How long would it take for Mark's brother to catch up to him? Assuming that Mark never had to stop for a traffic light. Assuming, yes, that's what I said. Assuming. As if it were a probable situation at all. Yet here you are, assuming that my assumption is no better. Ahem, what this court assumes is that the witness will testify as to what happened after the shot was fired. From shots to call. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene, nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Why didn't you chase the killer? He was, as you say, a killer. Of course, I could have run him down, yet what would he have done when cornered? Sadly, it takes more than an aptitude for solving quadratic equations to know that. Did the testimony not prove the defendant's presence at the scene? And do we not also now know that there was no one else there? It seems clear that we have our killer. Does it not? Does it not, Mr. Justice? I'd better find a way to take this testimony down quick. Alright. Which way did the killer run? By that time, it was clear the killer had noticed me. Naturally, he ran in the opposite direction. I would mean he ran in the opposite direction from the Kotaki mansion. Ach, son, don't even thinking about pointing out that he was going away from his home. All he had to do was zoom back once he was out of sight. Ugh, how did he know that's where I was going? You were certainly composed for someone who had just witnessed a killing. If one is to devote one's life to the pursuit of science, one must never flinch at the sight of a little blood, nor be so moved by a chemical discovery that one drops one's flask upon the lab room floor. Oh, cool answer. Very cool. So nothing strange about how he acted. Tracy looks like she has something to say. Wasn't your first thought to call an ambulance? It can be said that I have dabbled in medicine. The injury I witnessed, namely a single shot to the head, tends to result in death. Ergo, there was no need for me to call an ambulance. Oh, a perfect syllogism. A proof in 3 parts. Exquisite. Simply exquisite. He actually looks like he's going to cry. Can you tell us in detail about these 10 minutes? I stood in a state of heightened awareness. Anything could happen at any moment. Anyone could appear from any direction. Is that all? No one came, nothing happened at all. I saw it all, which is to say, I saw nothing. It was late at night. It's not odd to think there would be few people around in the park. So we just stood there watching? Not much to go on there. Trucy forgot something to say. By all means, say it. I can't find a single problem with that testimony. That's enough at last, Air Forehead. Maybe it's time to back off a bit. There's nothing fishy about the testimony at all. It appears no objectness to the witness's current testimony. There are any number of ways to explain the lack of prints on the pistol, I assure you. Perhaps the killer really was wearing gloves, which wiped the previous user's prints off. Then, after the deed was done, this fell out of his pocket as he was throwing the gun away. A mistake befitting of a small-time punk, in my opinion. No! No! It seems we've come to the end of the line here. No, that can't be all. How unfortunate. It seems that you weren't cut out to stand on the same stage as me. Were you, Air Forehead? I believe this brings the cross-examination to a close. This court will now declare a verdict for the defendant, Wokie Kotaki. Hold it! Trucy! Nobody move. What's the meaning of this? Who are you? There'll be no verdict in this court. Not yet. Wait, are you one of the Kotakis? The Kotakis? You mean the notorious gangsters? If you don't want to see me give the pretty little girl a new smile, do as I say. Adjourn the court for 20 minutes. What? This court will not bow to pressure from the likes of... Judge, I see little point in further aggravating this gentleman. Recess. 20 minutes. Or, I promise you, you'll regret it. But wait! How did he disappear so fast? Come to the defendant lobby, Apollo! I suppose I have no choice but to adjourn for a 20-minute recess. Bailiff, catch that mysterious man! Okay then. That's the first time that's happened in an Ace Attorney game. So, uh-oh. Trucy! Trucy! You move quick, Apollo. Good show. Good show. Trucy, you're okay? I thought... Oh god, he's crying. Don't cry, Apollo. Those good-for-nothing gangsters. There's some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Wait, just calm down, Apollo. Or else... What the heck is that? Surprised? This is one of my best tricks, the amazing Mr. Hat. You look marvelous, darling. He's a big hit on stage at the Wonder Bar. Yes, I'm a big hit. Ha ha ha! Well, what do you think? Do you like it? You mean you... Trucy! There's some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges! Apollo, now is not the time to be threatening me. It's you who's being threatened here, huh? Remember what you said to Wokie's father yesterday? You promised you'd save his son, but that testimony was rock solid. What are you suggesting I do? Look, once the judge declares a verdict, it's all over. If I can use my talent to stop that from happening, I will. Trucy, no more stage abductions, please. I'm not talking about magic, Apollo. I know when the witness isn't confident. I can perceive what he's feeling. It might not mean anything, but it's all we've got. You can see what he's feeling? Think back, Apollo. Think back to the times when there was a contradiction in his testimony. All the times. All the times there was a contradiction. Actually, I don't remember them exactly. Good thing I do. There were 2 times when he made statements he wasn't confident in, and each time there was a contradiction. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand. He said the man tossed aside a pistol, but it turned out he wasn't sure, and sure enough there was a contradiction. That's true, but how does that help us? Didn't you notice anything? Whenever he made a statement he wasn't confident in, he displayed a certain habit. Was it his blinking? Did he blink? Because that's what I... Did you see it? The very moment he said the word pistol, his fingers got all tense, and he fiddled with the corner of a page in his book. How am I supposed to see that? Well, I could see it. How else do you think Daddy went 7 years without losing a game of poker? What? I always sit next to Daddy during big matches. I could see what his opponents were feeling. You mean that's how Mr. Wright won all those games? It's not cheating officially. I wasn't looking at their hands or anything. And I wasn't there all the time either. Daddy's quite good at poker after all, but not good enough to go undefeated that long. Great, so he cheated. But what does that do for us? I don't believe this. You have to listen to his testimony one more time. No, scratch that. You have to watch his testimony. Perceive the truth. Watch a testimony? Perceive the truth? The only thing I'm perceiving is that I'm going to lose. Not true. Daddy said so. He said you had the power, Apollo. Mr. Wright said that? Watch the testimony. Perceive his true feelings. Is she serious? Time's up. Sorry, I can't think of anywhere other way out of this one, Apollo. What was that she said before the trial started? Huh? Mr. Wright's not here today. He said his old foot injury was acting up. Yes, he smiled when he said we'd be fine as long as you're there, Trucy. Is this what he meant by us being fine? Well, methods aside, she did avoid one guilty verdict already today. Time to show this court what I'm made of. Get ready for justice. Let's do it. Apollo? No, I'm starting to think I could do this. I knew you could do it all along. Oh, one more thing. Try to cover for Mr. Hat as best you can. I just flew in from the coast, and boy are my arms tired. Right. Huh. She's not 15. She's not 15. Even with her hat off, she looks even less like she's 15. Court is now back in session. Right. We're fine. I'd like to say to the young lady standing next to you, Mr. Justice. Oh, you mean me? Don't you have anything to report? Anything concerning the mysterious phantom in the silk-top hat? Ah, right. Him. Don't worry about him. I settled that. You settled that? Yes, it was an out-of-court settlement. Right. Perhaps Fraulein would have us believe it was nothing more than a passing dream. A fantastic illusion. Now you see it, now you don't. Am I right? I think he's on to me. I wish he would stop being so cool. Let us dispense with these niceties and get straight to the matter. What are your plans for our gifted witness? Right. The defense would like to request another cross-examination, because I forgot to ask something. There's no issue with the witness's previous testimony. I will grant your request, however, but this court will not permit stalling for time. Understood, Your Honor. Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. Okay, wait, shit. Hold on 1 second. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene, nor I could simply leave the scene in good conscience. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. I'm not sure I'm qualified to watch testimonies after all. Focus, Apollo. Find his weak spot. Focus. If only it were that easy. My ears hear what he says. My eyes see his expression. Do I have to do something more? What other senses do I have? Well, what's this? My bracelet. What's going on? My bracelet feels different somehow. I think Daddy was right. You can see it, can't you, Apollo? You're almost there. Find the weak spot in his testimony. I know this sounds crazy, but my bracelet is trying to tell me something. So you called immediately after witnessing the murder. The police undoubtedly have a record of the call. Why not check with them? Wait, Apollo. This has to be it. Wait, you mean his habit? Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. The only time he even had the book open was here. Which means this is the place to look for his habit. I don't know how I know, but I know. Know what? It's my bracelet. It's different, somehow. I can feel it reacting to something about the witness. Your bracelet? I'm not sure I get this focus stuff you were talking about, Trucy. But I have a feeling that trusting my bracelet is the way to go. Okay, I just need to touch my bracelet with R as it reacts. What's going on? I can see the witness's face, his expression so clearly. It's filling my mind. I can see nothing else, hear nothing else. Apollo, Trucy, what's happening to me? This is what I meant by focusing. Focusing? In this state, you can see everything, Apollo. Everything the witness does. That's great, but this is kind of freaking me out. Just look for Mr. Stickler's twitch, his habit. You remember it, right? Sure, when he says something he's not sure of, he fiddles with a page of his book. You got it. Right now you're looking at the witness's face, and your eyes are sort of bugging out. I'll bet they are. First, move your focus of attention down to Mr. Stickler's hand. My question is, how the heck doesn't anybody notice that his eyes are, like, bugging out of his head? His hand? You know what to look for now, but you have to be looking at the right place. He's right, I can only see his face like this. Time to change my viewpoint. Perfect. Now you're really ready. Ready for what? Ready to perceive the truth behind the twitch. Perceive? Try listening to the witness's talk as you focus. Then watch for his habit. Right, you mean when he fiddles with the page. That's right. That's your signal to look closer, to perceive with R. Find his weak spot, and I guarantee we'll be able to give him the royal flush. Spoken like a true pokerhead's daughter. I'm a magician, thank you very much. So I had to pay attention to his words and his fingers. Don't worry, if you miss it, you can always try again. Right, look out, nervous twitch, here comes justice. Gotcha! I saw it just now. I could see it. Mr. Justice. Mr. Justice, do you have something to say? All this banging of desks, it's quite bad for my calculation, you know. Mr. Stickler, allow me to ask you a simple question. Why did you fiddle with the page of your book just now? The very moment you mentioned your cell phone. What are you talking about? I'm curious now about this cell phone of yours. Mind if I ask a few questions? What to ask? What to ask? ask for his number. Mr. Stickler, tell me your phone number. Why? Whatever for? Why not? You have something against making friends? What does this witness's cell phone number have to do with the case? Absolutely nothing. This is an invasion of my privacy. Seeing your grimace like that makes me wonder about your cell phone, too. The witness will present his cell phone number to the court. Rah! Trucy, do you have your cell phone? Sure do. Try dialing the number that he gives us. Want me to call Mr. Stickler's phone? This is all highly irregular. Hey, my pocket's ringing. Wait, this is the phone from yesterday. Look, a cell phone. Someone dropped beneath this tire. If the car moved, it would be crushed for sure. I wonder if it belongs to the doctor here. How strange, Mr. Stickler. Can you explain why your cell phone is sitting here in my assistant's hand? Wait a minute, what is the meaning of this? This cell phone was found yesterday in the Maractus Clinic garage. The Maractus? Why, that's where the victim lived. Yeah, that's impossible. Mr. Stickler, you lied to the court, didn't you? If your cell phone is here, how could you have called the police? It's true, I didn't have my cell phone that night. That is why it can be said that I called the police from a public payphone. Payphone? So you didn't call on your cell phone after all? Just where was this payphone located, Mr. Stickler? Well, to indicate it with a startlingly high degree of accuracy, it was right around here. That's quite a ways from the park. But why did you lie? There can only be one reason. He didn't want the court to know he had lost his cell phone. Because it was found in the victim's garage. What are you saying? Mr. Stickler, you broke into the Maractus Clinic garage on the night of the murder. This cell phone tells all. But that's ridiculous. That makes it sound like I snuck into this fellow's garage to commit some crime. As though I were trying to kill him. Well, Dr. Maractus was killed that night. Oh, yes, but no, this line of reasoning has to be against the rules. Yes, it's true, I lost my cell phone. But you can't prove that I lost it that night. Well, Mr. Justice, that cell phone was dropped the night of the murder. It does raise considerable suspicions as to a connection with the crime. Now's your chance, Apollo. Connect Mr. Stickler to the crime. Oh, he's already connected enough. I just have to prove it. Well, I have a piece of evidence that can do... Can I prove the cell phone was dropped the night of the murder? Yes, we can. And there's a pretty obvious reason why. Because, of course I have evidence. Oh, I like your swagger, Air Forehead. Hit it. The court will see this evidence, Mr. Justice. Hit it, as they say. The evidence that proves the cell phone was dropped on the night of the murder is... this mirror, because that night it got broken off. That's a side view mirror. As it so happens, Dr. Maractus' car was in an accident that took place the night of the murder. An accident? An accident. It happened a little after 9 p.m., just outside the People's Park, our murder scene. Dr. Maractus' car hit a pedestrian. What are you trying to say? From the absence of a mirror, it's clear that the car was parked after the accident, which means it was parked there after 9 p.m. on the night of the murder. If your cell phone had been dropped before the car was parked in that garage, then it would have been crushed. After all, it was lying on the ground right under the wheel. Here go, Mr. Stickler. The only time you could have dropped this in that garage was after 9 p.m. the night of the murder in the park. Mr. Stickler, you know what this means. You did break into the victim's garage that night. This is most unexpected, Mr. Justice. Are you naming the witness as a suspect in the murder of Paul Maractus? No, stop! This is too much! This can't be happening! Prosecutor, say something! I suppose it is worth saying this. No connection has been found between Wesley Stickler and Paul Maractus. That is, other than this. I believe our next testimony will be most revelatory. Is the witness prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I know that face. That's a face of guilt. And we will get into the Stickler's truth next time on the Great Ace Attorney. No, wrong. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. Sorry, I recorded so many videos of that it's kind of stuck in my head to say that. But yeah, ooh, things are heating up. And of course, in every game, the person who was a witness to the crime is usually always the one who did it. Now, there may be another twist, and that we didn't know it. But that freaking staged abduction, wow, that was crazy. And I think Apollo really cares about Trucy. I mean, we saw that when he thought she was actually, like, abducted, he was bawling his eyes out. So, yes, we're learning more and more stuff, and I feel like we're going to learn a lot more. But, thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Boney Time for more content, especially more Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Also, make sure to share this video far and wide so we can get as many eyes on it as possible. And I will see you all next time.